Welcome to English Talk Podcast. This is the deep dive where we really get into the details of useful English from different sources.
And today we're focusing squarely on practical stuff, the kind of English you actually need for everyday life.
Exactly. We've looked at material covering two really common situations. Getting advice when you're thinking about buying a used car.
And also how to talk to a doctor when you're not feeling well.
Yeah, these can feel a bit intimidating sometimes in another language, right?
For sure. But the goal here is to equip you. By the end of this deep dive, you should have the key vocabulary, know the right questions, and just feel more confident handling these things in English.
It's about making daily life smoother using practical English. So let's jump in with that first scenario. Buying a used car. Big decision. Where do you even start?
Well, the first thing, and it sounds simple, but it's crucial, is figuring out the type of car you genuinely need.
Right. Like, what's its main job going to be? Commuting, family stuff?
Exactly. Because that leads you to features. If you're commuting a lot, maybe you want something fuel efficient.
Fuel efficient, meaning it doesn't burn through gas too quickly.
Precisely. It doesn't use a lot of fuel for the miles it travels.
Yeah.
It's a big factor for ongoing costs. Saving money on gas is always good.
Makes sense. And the other word that kept coming up was reliable. What does reliable actually mean when we talk about cars?
Yeah, it's a common one. Basically, it means dependable. The car starts, it runs, it gets you there.
Doesn't break down unexpectedly.
Right. But also, it means hopefully fewer surprise repairs down the line. It's about minimizing hassle and unexpected mechanic bills. Peace of mind, really.
Okay, so you've thought about the type, fuel efficient, reliable, fits your needs. What are the absolute must-do checks before buying?
Right. This is key. The advice was really strong on checking the car's history report.
A history report. Sounds like digging into its past secrets. What does it tell you?
It's essentially a background check, using the car's VIN, the vehicle identification number. And it's vital because it can uncover hidden problems.
Like what?
Major accidents, for one.
Hmm.
Things that might mean structural damage you can't easily see. It also shows previous owners, sometimes flood damage.
Flood damage?
Yeah, or even if the odometer reading seems off. Huge red flags you absolutely need to know about. It helps you avoid a car with a troubled history.
Okay, so that report is critical. What else is non-negotiable before you buy?
Getting the car properly inspected.
Inspected, not just kicking the tires.
Huh. No, definitely not. A real inspection means a thorough check by a professional mechanic.
Ah, a mechanic. The person who actually fixes cars.
Exactly. They have the expertise. They'll get underneath, check the engine, the transmission, brakes, suspension, all the stuff you or I probably wouldn't know how to check properly.
Or couldn't even see.
Right. They can spot potential big issues, like maybe the transmission is on its way out, or there's hidden rust. It costs a bit for the inspection, but it can save you thousands later. It's professional confirmation of the car's actual health.
Adds a lot of confidence, I bet. Okay, so you've done the research, checked the history. The mechanic says it's okay. Now, the price. What's the advice there?
Don't just pay the asking price. You need to negotiate.
Negotiate. So haggle a bit. Try to get a better deal.
Essentially, yes. Discuss the price. Aim to agree on a final amount that's fair, often lower than what they first ask. With used cars, the price usually isn't fixed. It's kind of expected.
Good to know it's expected, takes the pressure off a bit. And where you buy it from matters too, right? The advice compared a couple of options.
It did. You've basically got buying from a private seller versus a dealership.
A private seller is just a regular person selling her own car.
Exactly. Maybe their old car they don't need anymore.
And the advice was to be a bit cautious there.
Well, the main thing is when you buy private, it's usually as is.
As is, meaning what you see is what you get, and if it breaks tomorrow, tough luck.
Pretty much. The seller offers no guarantee, no protection against future problems. If the engine blows up the next day, the repair cost is all on you. That lack of protection is the main risk.
Okay, that's a significant risk. What about the other option, the dealership, the business that sells cars?
Yes. The big advantage pointed out with dealerships is that they often offer warranties.
A warranty? What exactly is that?
Like insurance.
It's more like a guarantee from the seller. The warranty says the dealership will cover the costs for certain types of repairs, often major ones like the engine or transmission, for a specific time or mileage after you buy it.
Ah, I see. So it's a safety net.
Exactly. It provides a layer of security. If something covered breaks within the warranty period, they fix it. That significantly lowers your financial risk compared to buying as is.
That sounds pretty good. But is there any reason to go with a private seller then?
Well, Yes. The potential upside is cost. Private sellers may be cheaper.
They don't have the same overheads as a dealership. No big showroom, fewer staff, less advertising. So sometimes they can sell the car for less.
So it's a trade-off.
Oh,
Potentially lower price, but more risk, versus higher price, maybe, but with the security of a warranty.
precisely. You have to decide what you're more comfortable with, considering your budget and how much risk you want to take.
Understanding that difference is really key. And just think about the English words we've used here. Used car, fuel efficient, reliable, history report, inspection, mechanic, negotiate, private seller, dealership, warranty, really practical stuff.
Absolutely. Knowing these helps you ask the right questions, understand the answers, and just navigate the whole process much more effectively. It's the language you need for this specific important task.
Okay, let's switch gears completely now. Another super common situation. Going to the doctor because you're feeling unwell, being able to explain how you feel is so important.
Oh, absolutely crucial. The scenario we looked at started with someone having, typical sick feelings.
Yeah, they mentioned a sore throat and a mild fever for a few days. Can you quickly describe those?
Sure. A sore throat is that pain or scratchiness in your throat makes swallowing uncomfortable. And a mild fever just means your body temperature is a little bit higher than normal,
Hmm.
a sign your body's fighting something off.
And you need to get to the doctor's office, the clinic where they see patients.
Right. But maybe your usual doctor isn't free. The advice mentions seeing a general practitioner.
A general practitioner or GP? What kind of doctor is that?
That's your typical family doctor, the first person you usually see for general health issues or illnesses. They treat a wide range of common problems, unlike a specialist who focuses on just one area, like hearts or skin.
Got it.
Yeah.
Your go-to doctor. Now, when you're actually there talking to the doctor, what's the most critical advice?
This came up really clearly.
Yeah,
Make sure to tell them about all your symptoms.
all of them. Even little things.
Yes, everything you've noticed that's different. Symptoms are just the signs of illness, cough, headache, feeling tired, aches, whatever it is. Giving the doctor the full picture helps them figure out what's wrong.
That makes sense. They even suggested writing them down beforehand.
Yeah, which is great advice. So you don't forget anything when you're actually talking to the doctor, especially if you're feeling unwell or a bit nervous.
Smart tip. Okay, you've described your symptoms. What kind of questions should you be asking the doctor?
Good ones relate to understanding the illness better, like asking if it could be an infection or if it's something viral.
Okay, infection versus viral. What's the difference there?
An infection is the general term when harmful germs, bacteria, viruses, fungi get into your body and cause disease. Viral is more specific. It means the infection is caused by a virus
And why does that difference matter?
because it affects treatment. For example, antibiotics work on bacterial infections, but they do nothing for viral infections. So the doctor needs to know which it likely is.
Ah, okay, that's key. Which brings us to medicine. What about asking for a prescription?
If the doctor decides you need specific medication, they'll give you a prescription. That's the written order you take to the pharmacy to get the medicine.
And antibiotics were mentioned specifically.
Right. Antibiotics are the drugs used to fight bacterial infections. So if the doctor thinks bacteria are the cause, they might prescribe antibiotics.
But there was also a note about preferring to avoid medicine unless it's really needed, right? Especially antibiotics.
Yes, that's a common approach now.
Mm.
Try not to overuse them. Other important questions to ask are about potential side effects.
Side effects. Those are the unwanted things that can happen when you take medicine.
Exactly, like feeling nauseous or dizzy. It's good to know what you might experience. And also, ask if you need to rest.
Just rest. Seems obvious, but worth asking.
Definitely. To rest means relax, sleep, avoid too much activity so your body can recover. The doctor can advise how much rest you need because sometimes, especially with viruses, rest is the main treatment.
And when you're feeling sick like that, what are people usually hoping it is?
Often the hope is it's nothing serious, maybe just a seasonal cold.
A seasonal cold, like the common cold that goes around certain times of year.
Exactly. Usually mild, caused by a virus, and generally gets better on its own with rest.
Still, even if it is just a cold, getting that doctor's opinion gives you clarity, right? And advice.
For sure. Knowing what's going on and what's due usually makes you feel a bit better mentally, even if you still feel sick physically.
And look at the language again. Sore throat, mild fever, doctor's office, general practitioner, symptoms, infection, viral, prescription, antibiotics, side effects, rest, seasonal cold. All words you need to talk about your health.
Being able to describe symptoms clearly and ask informed questions is just fundamental to getting the care you need.
So, thinking about both these areas, buying a car, seeing a doctor, what's the connection for English learners?
Well, they're perfect examples of everyday situations where having the right specific vocabulary isn't just helpful, it's kind of essential. These aren't abstract topics, they're real-life interactions.
Totally. Whether you're trying to understand what a warranty covers or explain you've had a fever for 3 days, having those words makes a huge difference. It reduces stress, builds confidence.
It's about navigating daily life effectively. Mastering these practical conversations helps you function smoothly and feel more integrated.
Right. So this deep dive really aimed to pull out that core language, those key terms and ideas for these common scenarios.
Giving you the tools, hopefully, to feel more prepared when you encounter them.
So here's a final thought to take away from this deep dive. How can you practice this? Maybe try describing that ideal reliable car out loud, or list your symptoms for an imaginary cold in English. Even just thinking about it helps. How does knowing terms like history report or side effects make facing these situations feel, well, a bit less daunting when you need to use English?
That kind of mental rehearsal, or even saying it out loud, really does build readiness. It makes the language feel more accessible when you actually need it.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive on English Talk podcast. We hope this helps you feel more confident and prepared out there.